everybody, I'm here to share a tutorial video with you today about how to begin a project that starts in a spiral, just like my newly released crochet pattern called Lucien Hat. That's L-U-C-I-E-N, Lucien Hat. You can find the pattern for this cute hat on Ravelry. I will have the link in the description under this video in case you'd like to get it. It would make a really cute gift for Christmas, especially for little kids, because it's fun. It's striped and colorful and has a tassel on the top. I also want to encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. When you do that, you get 2 free patterns, 1 crochet and 1 knit right away. So let's get on with the tutorial. So I'm going to show you one way to begin a circle, but there are other ways to do it, and you can follow whatever pattern you're using, what it says to do. But I'm going to show you, you begin with a slip knot. Alright, so I'm going to chain 2. Actually chain 3 because I'm beginning in double crochet. Alright, and then I'm going to start working double crochet stitches into this first chain that I made. And I'm going to build my circle around that. So this chain is going to become the center of my circle. Normally when you are making a circle, if you're working in double crochet, you will put 12 stitches in the first round. But I'm only going to do half of those in the white. So I'm going to do 6 double crochet stitches in here into the same chain with white. I'm just kind of letting this chain expand as I go. It's going to get a little bit bigger as I'm working, and that's okay. In fact, you can even intentionally loosen it up a little bit. Let's see, that's 4. When I began, I chained 3, and the first chain is becoming the center of my circle. The other 2 chains, they're over here. They're not going to count as a stitch here, so they're just going to kind of get ignored. Okay, so at this point, I'm actually just going to kind of expand this loop and take my hook out of it. One thing I like to do, and I didn't bring any with me, but you can put a locking stitch marker in this loop just to keep it from coming undone while you're working, but you can just kind of leave it long and do that. Then you're going to pick up your other color that you're working with and go ahead and make a slip stitch with it. Okay, and then pick the circle back up that you started. Leave that white yarn to the back. Go into the chain that's the center of your circle. And slip stitch in it, just like that. Kind of pull that slip stitch tight, and then chain 2. And now you're going to do 6 double crochets in the same place but in this color. Okay, so at this point, you have what kind of looks like a little bow. You have 6 double crochets on this side and 6 on this side in your 2 different colors that you're working with, and they're not connected to each other. A lot of times when we work in the round, we would connect here and connect here, but we're not going to do that. Instead, So this is actually the end of my first round. It's also a good idea to have a locking stitch marker to use to mark the first stitch of every round, which would be this one right here. As you do this, you would move that locking stitch marker up into the first stitch of each successive round, and that just kind of helps you keep track of where you are, because it can get a little a little confusing. Okay, now in order to continue making a flat circle, the second round of my circle needs to have 2 stitches in each stitch of this round. So this one started with 12 stitches. My second round should have 24 in order to continue making a flat circle. So I'm going to put the next 2 stitches in this one. I'm making a video right now. Sorry, my kids just came outside. Okay, so I'm going to work into this stitch right here. And make 2 double crochet stitches. And notice that my first round started with white. My second round is starting with my other color. And it's going to be like that the whole way around. Each round is going to start with the color that you didn't start the previous round with. Alright, so go ahead and 2 stitches here. Okay, and then I'll kind of hold on to these while I'm working into this last one, otherwise it'll get loose and come undone. Okay. Alright, so at this point I finished half of round 2. And now I'm going to switch colors again, lengthen that loop and take it off, go back into this white loop and snug it back up. And now you're going to put 2 white double crochets in the next 6 double crochets here. Because remember, these 6 double crochets, they're all of round 1. So it's going to be 2 double crochets in each of them. Go back and check every once in a while. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 of those purple stitches, so 2 more. If I had a stitch marker marking the first stitch of each round here, that would make it a little bit easier to keep track of where I am, but you don't just have to have that, but like I said, a little bit easier to keep track of which round you're on, because now I have finished round 2, and at this point I'm going to continue working in white. However, my pattern is going to change, because in round 3, in order to continue making a flat circle, we need to do 1 stitch here, 2 stitches in this one, and it's going to alternate 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches, because each round of a flat circle when you work in double crochet continues to increase by 12 stitches each round. So if I had put a stitch marker in here, it would be easy for me to say, oh yeah, that's where my pattern's going to change a bit. So now I'm going one stitch, two, one stitch, two, instead of just 2 stitches in every stitch. So I continue working in white, because every time I make a white stitch, it's going to be made in one of these colored stitches. And every time I make a colored stitch, it's going to be in a white stitch. You never stitch white into white or this colored into colored, okay? So here, I'm going to go 1 stitch, I thought for a minute I did it wrong, but I got it. Okay, 1 stitch here, 2 in the next stitch. Still alternating these last 2. I'm going to put 1 stitch in this one and 2 stitches in the last one. All right, now that's only halfway through round 3. So now I'm going to lengthen this loop, take my hook out, go back into the purple, and tighten that up. And now I'm still continuing with the alternating 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, because I'm still on round 3, but you always change colors halfway through the round. All right. I think I've come to the end of the round. You can see when you look at the white ones that here there were 2 stitches together and 2 stitches together, but here I have 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's this stitch right here is going to be the start of the next round. So it's continuing to go in a spiral, as you can see. What's going to happen when I work the next round in order to continue increasing by 12 stitches each round is that I will put 1 stitch in this one, 1 stitch in this one, and 2 stitches in this one. And all the way around this next round, it's going to be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. You can also think of it as when you see this place where there's 2 stitches together, that the first one will always have 1 stitch in it, and the second stitch will always have the increase in it, the 2 stitches together in it. So as I keep going in successive rounds, that increase, the second stitch in that increase is always going to be the place where I make the increase for the next round. So when I begin round 4, it will be 1, 1, 2. But when I begin round 5, it will be 1, 1, 1, 2. And round 6 will be 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. So each round adds another single stitch before the increase. If you're making a hat, at some point your circle here is going to be big enough to form the crown of your hat. And at that point, in order to go down the sides of the hat, you won't want to increase anymore. You'll want to just keep putting 1 stitch in every stitch. And that way your hat will stop getting bigger and instead start getting longer so that you can make a hat. And of course, not all spirals go in circles. You can also start squares and rectangles and hexagons in spiral. And you'll just have to follow the pattern. The idea here will be roughly the same, but you'll have to follow the instructions in the pattern. You can also make spirals with more than 2 colors. You can make them with 3 or 4. But in that case, your very first round, you'll divide the total number of stitches by the number of colors. If I were going to do a 3-color spiral, my first round, each of the colors would have 4 stitches in the first round. And then I would continue increasing and changing colors. And also, like in my Lucien Hat, which, as I said, the link for that is in the description under the video, the increases in the first few rounds don't make a flat circle. I increased much more quickly. Just because that was kind of the look that I wanted. I wanted it to be kind of, I didn't want it to sit like a flat circle on top. I wanted it to be a little bit more gathered. So again, this is roughly how to start a spiral, but follow your pattern because it will explain exactly how to make the item that you are aiming for. Also, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I share tutorials on crochet, knitting, and spinning, hand spinning that is. And also, please like this video. Thank you very much.